My mother's father was Grady Parrish. He actually came out of Alabama, Ozark, Alabama. And after World War I, he came back and he farmed, but he was always a sharecropper. He never wanted to own land, he sharecropped. And they moved every year, my mother and sharecropped. And he loved to grow cotton. I mean, loved to grow cotton. But he was a sharecropper all of his life until he had a major heart attack. And when he had the major heart attack, everything changed then. He was not able to farm. But a lot of people may remember the Gulf Station in Mossy Head. He ran it for many years after the heart attack. But he was a Distinguished Service Cross winner, or was awarded that after World War I for his services in World War I. And my grandfather Richardson, he farmed not for to support the family. He had 10 children, so he farmed today. He never had a lot of land, but he lived off the woods, pine trees, farming, hunting, trapping, that kind of things, how he made his living. And he never farmed a lot, but their farming was behind a mule. My grandfather Richardson never had a driver's license. He never had an automobile. So when I was growing up, if we went anywhere with him, we walked or we rode the wagon with a mule, which is very interesting. His farming was quite different. There was no chemicals, and the seed were planted so far apart, and there's such a little bit of fertilizer used, they just didn't have any, didn't put any, but his yield was so little compared to today. It's amazing. But the amazing thing is that he wasted nothing. We waste so much today in farming that he never wasted. There was always animals he put in there and ate what he did not harvest. And it was quite amazing. He had his hogs in the woods. There was free roaming time of the hogs at that time and all. But anyway, they were the mules. And then when I came along, my father had about 30 acres, and I had two uncles that had about the same amount. And I did their work. I was cheap labor. I helped them because they all worked on Eglin Air Force Base. We moved up and we had 2-row planters, Covington planters. And I'll never forget, my job was to open the fertilizer on the trailer and have the fertilizer ready and the seed ready to put into the hoppers when they stopped. Well, we were 2 rows. We had 27, 29 horsepower tractors, 2-row planters. They were Covingtons. And we only planted corn. Well, my start came probably at about the age of 10. My grandfather let me farm his 5 acres. And I would work for them for seed and fertilize and to use their equipment to plant that 5 acres. But for several years I planted 5 acres of corn, and Mr. Henderson at Henderson Feed Mill bought my corn every year. And it wasn't Harley Henderson, it was actually his father that bought the corn back then. So that's where I sort of got my start in that direction. And then along in, I guess when I was in high school, about 1975, American Farms was in our area, and they went out of business and they rented the land to us. So I was able to start renting land from American Farms. So I went and got deeply in debt, bought me a new tractor in 11th grade in high school, and a disc. I think both of them knew was $15,000. And I thought I had gone across the world. Sad thing is, I priced a disc this year, it's $105,000 now for a disc. And the tractor is $300,000 to $400,000. That's where we've changed. But anyway, we bought a 4-row set of planters, and I farmed American Farms land there out in the Moss Head area. And I got a start, and had a good year. Back then, fertilizer was less than $100 a ton. We were selling soybeans at $8 plus a bushel, and we were able to make some money at that time. And all of Walton County was farming. Out in our area, everybody farmed. It was because there was money to be made then at that time. And but that's where basically I got my start. But before then, I had actually started. So when I was so young, they actually tied me on the tractors with ropes where I wouldn't fall off, and all because I was that little driving a tractor. We had a 1961 Massey Ferguson that was delivered to the house. I'll never forget. That's what I learned on the 1961 Ferguson. But like I said, they were no seat belts, so they actually took a rope and tied me on so I wouldn't fall off. But anyway, my first tractor was a 966 International, bought from RC Blue here at Blue Motor and Equipment in Funiac, and a disc, 13-foot disc. We started farming. I was able to buy my first piece of property about 1976, and some American farmland, so I got a little bit bigger. Then I went to college at OW, and I went where I could go like 3 days a week or 2 days a week, and I built my farm, started building my farm. But things changed all along. We had started having chemicals for the seed, to control the grass and weeds, etc. and we got a little more proficient in the amount that we could make per acre. And each year we tried to improve, we tried to grow. So actually I purchased a little more land in '78, and every time a piece of land come available that I thought I could make the payments on, I would go buy. But at that time we were paying $400 an acre for the property, $300 an acre for the property, and sometimes, $500. And then we had a president called Mr. Jimmy Carter to come along. Well, Mr. Carter was supposed to help the farmers out, and he did everything but that. Had a 16% interest, had an embargo against Russia, and the farmers in our area, they had invested so highly in land and all that they lost. It was a big loss on people at that time. Well, the property at that time was selling for 1,000 an acre. You could go out and buy for 300 or 400 an acre when it was repossessed. So I took advantage of that and was able to buy more property at that time. But anyway, we just kept beating along. Went to college at OW for 2 years. Then I went to University of West Florida. A degree in biology. Then I got a business degree from University of West Florida. And of all things, it worked out being perfect for a farmer. The biology helps me with the chemicals and the insects, etc., and the business helps me with the business. Anyway, went from 4-row planters and 100-horse tractors. They call them muscle tractors today. There was unheard of a 100-horsepower tractor. But we left there and we went on up, and we all of a sudden became 6-row farmers. 6-row. We had a 6-row planter, 6-row equipment, so we got wider. As we got wider, guess what? All the gates were too narrow. We had to start over. We had to change ways. But we, back then in the beginning, we planted nothing but corn. Then soybeans came into the area, and soybeans were king for several years. Back then, people had peanut quota, and that was where the money was made. Peanut quota was good money, but a young farmer like me didn't have any. We didn't have any quota, so we had to make the best of it. And so later they allowed us to start planting peanuts outside of the quota, and I decided I would try that. So of all things, I go to Chipley and I bought a peanut picker for $1,325. I'll never forget it. I knew nothing about a peanut picker, and I bought a $500 plow and brought it home, and we went to growing peanuts. And that's the best move we ever made in our life. We grew peanuts. That's peanuts are king in Walton County. That's where we make our money. Actually, in 1980, I had actually bought my first combine, and I was able to harvest crops for other people, custom work, and that gave us a little extra income. Back then, everybody had beans, and we were able to harvest for other people. And like I said, that in 78 or 79 maybe when I bought the combine. But we ran the combine on beans, and we started growing peanuts finally. So we kept growing, and there was good times in farming and there's bad times in farming. Good years, bad years. And we would watch and try. When bad times come along, that's the time you need to buy. And you need to hunker down during good times because everybody else is buying. And so that's what helped us out. We did that. We were very blessed to be able to continue to grow. What started off as 5 acres and a dream grew each year. It grew a little bit each year, never a lot, but it grew every year. And we'd buy a little piece of property here. Well, farming is just really, we've been on the cutting edge of technology. People just don't realize how much goes into farming today. We went from a 6-row planter now to 8-row planters is what we're running at this time. And a lot of folks have actually gone to 12-row planters. The big farmers are doing 12-row planters now. That's how big we've become. A peanut picker, I paid $1,300 for now. You pay $150,000 for that peanut picker, but it picks 6 rows instead of 2. That's how things have changed. We have grown into biotechnology. A lot of people do not understand what biotechnology is. Biotechnology is being able to take a plant, instead of breeding 2 plants together and hoping for what gene you get, hoping you get the right genes. We can actually take the genes that we want and place in that plant. And that has been a tremendous plus for farming. In the 70s, Walton County's average of soybeans is 26 bushels to the acre. Today, same land, same fertilizer, we're doing over 50 bushels to the acre just with the genetics that's taking place on the soybeans. On cotton, we used to spray cotton every 3 days, 5 days at the most. Poured piles of chemicals out there. Biotechnology has allowed us now to have cotton plants that actually protect themselves. When a bug hatches and bites the plant, it kills the bug itself. So we've eliminated so much pesticide. It has just saved a tremendous amount of what we were putting in the environment. It's really helped. We've become more precision oriented on our fertilizer with soil samples and all. We don't throw a lot away. We use more of what we need, which keeps less being run off into rivers and streams, etc. We actually have time release fertilizer now, especially on nitrogen releases over a period of time, which has helped a lot. But farming has really gone a different direction for the amount of people. It used to be piles of farmers in Walton County. As of last year, there was 3 actual family farms that were over 1,000 acres that actually row crop. We're down to 2 now. One of those had to drop in half this year.